Alright. I shaved. So no more beard. I was going to do the mustache, but I messed it up. So I shaved too much off. So it's just like, you know what? Just go clean. It's already growing back. So, you know, it's already growing in. So I'm just rolling with it. So. But anyway, good morning. Today is September 22nd. Yes, it is. It's the last full week of September. So it's also my last full week of being 23. So, yeah, this is my last week of working at 23. And then Sunday I'll be 24 at my birthday. So, just waiting for my car to warm up real fast. Yeah, I got out the door a little early. It's already starting to freeze. I guess summer doesn't officially end until the 25th, I guess. So 3 more days until summer, even though the weather's already acting like summer's over. So I don't really know. But well, with that being said, at least it's over for me, you know, because it's starting to get cold. Waking up in the mornings now. Like I might even put the fans away this year. People put up their pumpkins already. People are already heading to pumpkin patches. I'm opening these windows because I can't see anything. I mean, on my sides. So, but yeah, everyone's already busting out the pumpkins and whatnot. You know, Halloween is 1 month away. Obviously, 5 weeks away, more or less. Yeah, it falls on a Friday this year, I think. So I know people are finna be booming with that shit. So with that being said, the weekend, how was that? So Friday was cool. You know, last week was super chill. It's finally good to have a chill week because the 2 weeks before that was a very, very, very aggravating. But I've already talked about last week so many times already. I mean, the week before last, and not last week, but the week before last, and the one before that. You know, being just dog shit, being pulled into the office and whatever, right? So I've already talked about all that. But last week was actually super chill this time, you know. It was some kind of EVS week or whatever, where they give free food as appreciation to janitorial people, housekeepers and all that, which was super nice. I'm not going to lie. That was actually really nice. And the managers were actually really nice to everybody last week, and I got along with all the managers, so I think things are starting to look up a little bit there. A little bit. I just wish they would ease up on some things, you know, like ease up on a couple things, but I know it's so they don't get in trouble. You know, I could totally get that if they have to be stern about some shit, but you know, so. But Jeannie should not be there today, unlike last week. She was there last week. So, no. Stay away. Which, it'll be a chill day. She's supposed to be with us Tuesday and Thursday. So, you know, but last week, they had it all screwed up. They had her with them almost all week, except for Tuesday. She was with us on Monday. She was gone on Tuesday. Then she was with us Wednesday, Thursday. And then Friday, she was with us too, but I was training all day. All day Friday, I was just on the computer. Literally, so I was actually away from the group, which was nice. You know, they had me training all day. Come on, buddy. And then when it hit 3 o'clock, I was finally done. I was finally done at 3 o'clock. So I was like, okay, you know, awesome. Oh, man, it wants me to go straight this time. Whatever works. And since I'm a little earlier, I can actually park in front of the hospital. Because if I'm late, like 7:20, I'm not going to want to, find a parking spot. Because, when I would come in late, not late, but, like trying to barely there at like 7:20, I'm having to find a parking spot in front of the hospital, but there's no parking, so I have to park on the other parking lot next door, which is also in front of the hospital, but it's not directly in front of the hospital. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, Friday was pretty good. On the other hand, I just did all that. Of course, it was trouble for them working with Jeannie, but I told Kyle, I'm actually really glad that I didn't, because I'm starting to have a big mouth with Jeannie a little bit. I'm starting to have a bit of a big mouth. I'm gonna own up to it. I'm starting to talk shit a little bit to her. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's not good to be doing that, honestly. Even I'll admit it's not good, but once I'm really irritated with someone, like not mad, like angry, but like when I'm irritated at somebody, I tend to start talking shit a little bit. So she says she's gonna stop smoking cigarettes. She says she's gonna go on the patches, blah, 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 right? Here she is going out asking for the key card to go smoke a cigarette, right? So I asked her, what's the magic word? She was like, Kyle, can I get the key card? Kyle, can I get the key card? Kyle. That's how she said it. She said it so irritatingly, like she asked 3 times in 30 seconds. This was on Thursday, I think. Kyle, can I get the key card? Kyle, can I get the key card? Kyle. And we all just stopped talking, looked at her, and I said, what's the magic word? And she's like, dude was like, please? I was just like, I felt like a dick. I told them I could be a dickhead sometimes, but it's just like, you got to irritate me enough to do that. You got to purposefully act like a jackass for me to get to that point, you know what I mean? And I'm a pretty chill stand-up guy, you know what I mean? But if I get pissed off at somebody, then it begins with me starting to fuck with them. It begins with me starting to mess with them. So all day that Thursday, I started singing to her. Like, she keeps asking me, where's Kyle? I'm like, I don't know. Why do you keep asking me that? You know what I mean? So I told her, I'm not Kyle's keeper, just singing. And she was like, I'm not asking you if you were. I was like, I'm just messing with you. I'm like, I had to tell her, I'm just messing with you. I don't know. You keep asking me. You know what I mean? Like, as if I'm tracking him down. You know what I mean? So, but anyway. But yeah, Friday, all in all, back to Friday, not what happened in the past. It was a very chill week. For the most part. It was very chill. So, but yeah, it was chill for the most part. So, but yeah, I was on the computer most of the day. Jeannie didn't talk to me at all. But I would go and eat. This was the irritating part of Friday. So take note, if you're in a hospital having to do training, do not take your break in the dining hall, the main hospital lunchroom, because they expect you literally back at the 10-minute mark. And I told them they weren't going to get that. Because, let's be real, I have to sit down and take my 10, regardless if it takes me extra time to get back. Regardless. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go take my break, waste 2 minutes just walking, sit for 6 minutes, and then 2 minutes back. That's not going to happen. That's not going to work. But, ideally, you shouldn't do that. You should just eat in the break room or in that room You know, there's 2 break rooms next door to the office, which is where I was training. I'll move over here, guys. So, but yeah, so I went on. It wasn't my first break because I asked if it was okay to eat in the dining hall, but I was only being supervised. I was only being watched by Allie. So when I came back, Allie was super chill about it. Honestly, she didn't say anything. But then I went to lunch. Came back from lunch. Blah blah blah. But then I went to take my second 10-minute break. And it takes a minute, like I said. I take the 10. I didn't even take the full 10. I took a 9 and then I split. And I still got chewed out for being a little late. I'm like, I told Max, it takes a minute to walk down there. And if it makes you feel better, this is what I told her, quote unquote. Because she threw her hands up like, where were you? I was just like, taking a 10. I was like, hello, I got to take my 10. If it makes you feel better, technically I broke my 10 so I can come back earlier. So don't chew me out. Don't chew me out for that shit. Because y'all may be older and work longer and supervisors, but I know my fucking way around my rights and all that shit of doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like I know my fucking rights. And I have that right to take a 10-minute. Even if it takes a couple minutes to walk somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, be real about it. You know what I mean? Be real about it. Because, I'm entitled to take a couple minutes to walk somewhere. To take my 10-minute. Then come back even if it takes a couple minutes. Like, it's not the end of the world for 4 minutes. It's not the end of the world. But in the sense of them just covering their own asses, I get it. You know what I mean? But still, I got to cover for my own ass. And I'm not doing anything wrong. Regardless if it gets in trouble or not. So, but anyway. But yeah, that was Friday, that second break. And then finally, at 2:30, I went to get my fingerprints done. And then came back. Finished at 3. And then at 3 o'clock, I went back to the closet. And we all just hung out the rest of the time, They were already almost done, and nothing I could really do, so I just hung out there. Yeah, Jeannie didn't talk to me at all, which was fine. She didn't talk to me at all the whole day, which was okay. Kyle was talking to me from time to time, but at the end of the day, he wasn't really talking too much. And so I was just like, okay. But I went home. I did something. What did I do when I went home? I don't remember. But I went home and damn, what the hell did I do on Friday? I called Jack. Asked if Jack was coming over, getting dropped off. She had no money, so I was just like, oh, well, you don't have to come over with money, you can just come over and hang out, So I kind of gave up. I was like, never mind. I guess you need a break, because next weekend, we can't hang out. I'm going out. I'm going out to Eastern Washington for the weekend, so, But with that being said, yeah, I was just like, you don't have to. I just wanted to go to Tacoma to pay my guitar down, which I did. I owe $2,500 more to go. $2,500, yeah. I put 100 down. I technically had 150, but of course, with my mom being in debt consolidation, and ideally, this is just the reality because I am a grown-ass dude. I am a grown-ass dude. Grown-ass man. You know, she's kind of leaving me alone with all that stuff now. She's leaving me on my own with my own credit cards and shit like that. She found out I bought the stun gun and the balisong, so that definitely kicked that off too. But she was telling me that before. She found out on Saturday about that, and then but yeah, Friday, I don't know. I think I just hung out. I think I played a little bit of PlayStation for a bit. I finally played the original Resident Evil 2 and 3. The controls suck ass. I don't like the controls. Resident Evil 2's controls just suck, man. They suck. But Resident Evil 3, the controls are actually a little better. You know, like, you have to click A to walk up the stairs. You have to, you know, it's like, boo, bro. You're only armed with a pistol. And, like, in the remake, you actually know where you're going and what you're doing. In this one, you don't really have any idea what's going on. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, because the layout is different. It's the same map, but it's more bland in the original. You know, I like the remake of Resident Evil 2 better, way better than the original. And 3, I don't know. I kind of dig Resident Evil 3. I kind of dig that one a little bit, the remake, you know, because it gives you an AR, it gives you a Magnum, it gives you infinite ink ribbons to save whenever you want, which is a good thing, you know what I mean? Because I really don't like the idea of ink ribbons, which they canned that shit, which was great. They only put it on the harder difficulties. You only have ink ribbons in the hard difficulties. But in easy and medium, you know, I beat it on medium. I think you still had infinite. My throat's starting to bug me. Yeah, I can feel my throat itching, which is starting to get on my nerves. So, but anyway, I'm going to end it here for part 1 to get to part 2. So, yeah.